Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we're doing Facebook, we're getting LinkedIn set up and YouTube set up. We are going over, hey, Mercurian, we're going over The Power of Now, which is a book about spiritual enlightenment and how to tap into your spiritual side, not the spiritual tools, which people are confusing with spirituality. So not the crystals, the astrology, the tarot, because those are just the tools that help you to access what's already inside of you through spiritual enlightenment. For those of you that don't know, special announcement, we have a class right after this. So at 7:30, we have a class about teaching you how to protect your energy. The class starts at 7:30. It's not in here, it's via Zoom. So if you look at the replay or if you look in the description box of wherever you are watching this video, when we are done with this live stream, you have the Zoom link along with the password in order to come and join us. It initially started off as me having people sign up for being able to attend the Protect Your Energy class, but I just feel like a lot of people are struggling energetically and are not receiving the results that they want, just based on the things that some of my newer clients are experiencing and some of the DMs and the emails that I get. And so I wanted to make sure that I had this information available to all who wanted it. So we are on The Power of Now. And if you have the version that I have here currently, we are on page 93. And on 93, the title of it is called The State of Presence. But what he's going to talk about, the author Eckhart, in this chapter, starting off, is again how we can start to tap into that place of presence. Because in the place of presence, right, number one, that's the only real moment, the moment now. But number two, you also start to again get to drop into your being, because remember, as we've talked about in the previous chapters, and what I teach about and I coach about, is the more that you can approach your life from the being that you are connected with when you are approaching life from the moment of now, the better that your life will be, the more powerful that you will be, the more things that you'll manifest. So he starts off, there's a person talking to him, right? Remember, sometimes this goes into a back and forth dialogue, the way that this book is written. But it says, you keep talking about the state of presence as the key. I think I understand it intellectually, but I don't know if I've ever truly experienced it. I wonder, is it what I think it is, or is it something entirely different? So this is the person that's asking Eckhart about the state of being, that state of presence, that power, that only state that you get in when you're, or the state that you get in when you're accessing your true self. And he answers back, it is not what you think it is. You can't think about presence, and the mind can't understand it. Because remember, a lot of times we try to, it's not logical thinking, because most of us, if we don't train ourselves, we don't logically think. We just have a lot of mental activity going on that is in alignment with our paradigm. That is not logical thinking. But he says that the mind can't understand being present, because understanding presence is being present. So you only understand it by doing it, not by trying to rationalize it or think about what it could be. He said, try a little experiment. So this is another one. It's going to be similar to the first one, similar to what I've taught you guys if you've been around for a very long time. But this is going to, again, help you if you are jumping in these discussions with us and it's, you know, you're kind of new to my teachings or new to this book study. This is going to help you understand who you truly are versus who you think you are. So it's going to seem simple, but it's powerful. So I need you to pay attention. So he says, try this little experiment. Close your eyes and say to yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Then become very alert and wait for the next thought. Be like a cat watching a mouse hole. What thought is going to come out of the mouse hole? Try it now. You know what? Let's try it now. Just stop for a second. Be quiet. Ask yourself, I wonder what my next thought is going to be, and see what comes up. And I'm just going to be quiet for a second here. We won't waste too much time doing it. You can do it again on your own time. However, what you may notice is that when you try to do that, it kind of goes blank. and you kind of may not have any thoughts. And when you try to think about what you're going to think and you want this thought to come through, it doesn't come through the way that it does when your mind is running the show and running a mile a minute. So the person talking to Eckhart said, I had to wait for a very long time before the thought came in. And he said, exactly. As long as you are in a state of intense presence, you are free of thought. You get that? You were still when you tried to think about what the next thought would be, right? You're a little more alert than you usually are in your normal life. The instant your conscious attention sinks below a certain level, thought rushes in. So basically, what he's saying is the minute that you're living in your being and your attention to what's going on in your world, paying attention, waking up, living woke, when that starts to decrease, then that's when that mental activity just kind of floods in and starts to take over again, right? And then the thoughts create these emotions, and then there's this spiral that's out of control, and you feel like that's a part of you. And again, it's not. We just felt a little bit of what that feels like to live in our presence. The mental noise returns when our conscious attention decreases. The stillness is lost, and then you sink back into time. To test the degree of presence, some Zen masters have been known to creep up on their students from behind and suddenly hit them with a stick. That can be a little bit dramatic, right? But if the student had been fully present and in a state of alertness, no matter what they were doing, there's still this underlying alertness where you are sinking into your being, then they would have noticed that the master was coming up from behind and stopped him or stepped aside before they were hit with a stick. But if that student was hit with a stick, it meant that they were immersed in something. I like a little bit of what reality transurfing says, just because it helps you understand where you might be. For some of us, we are sucked into our inner world, which means our thoughts, our emotions, all the stuff going on the inside. Or we could be sucked in on things, or sucked out on things in our outer world. And that could be as simple as watching TV, just immersed in what's going on around us, in a conversation or argument, what have you. And so what he's trying to say is, if you can't learn the difference, just like these other students, if you cannot be in this state of stillness and alertness in all of your being and all that you're experiencing, have one foot in your being, no matter what's going on inside of you, no matter what's going on the outside of you, then you're going to be living life unconsciously. And there's things that are going to be what you feel to be sneaking up and hitting you upside the head, when in all actuality, those things may have already been creeping up on you. But because you don't live from your state of power in your life, these things can feel like they're creeping up on you. Hey, ECJ Robertson. All right. So to stay present in everyday life, it helps to be rooted within yourself. Otherwise, the mind, which has incredible momentum, will drag you along like a wild river. So then the person talking to him says, well, what do you mean rooted within yourself? This is important. You have to understand this, because the more that you can do this, the better your life will be. To be rooted within yourself means to inhabit your body fully, to always have some of your attention in the inner energy field of your body, to keep the body from within, so to speak. Body awareness keeps you present and it anchors you in the now. And then we're going to go on and talk about the esoteric meaning of waiting. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and close. So if there's any questions about anything that I've discussed thus far, make sure to leave your questions or comments in the description box. Even if you're watching the replay and you don't understand something and you want me to elaborate, or you have feedback or anything, just go ahead and leave it, and I'll make sure that I always respond. All right, so we're getting into the esoteric meaning of waiting. In a sense, the state of presence could be compared to waiting. And he's going to clarify, because we just talked about that there's these periods of waiting, which we don't do things because we think that our life is going to get better in the future when we have money, when we have the right relationship, etc. This is not the waiting that he's talking about. So I just want you to be clear. There's a different kind of waiting that is more spiritual. And Jesus used the analogy of waiting in some of his parables. So this is not the usual bored or restless kind of waiting that is in the denial of the present that we talked about yesterday. This is not the waiting in which your attention is focused on some point in the future and the present is perceived as an undesirable obstacle that prevents you from having what you want. There is a qualitatively different kind of waiting, one that requires your total alertness. So this is a different type of waiting in quality. Is a better type of waiting. So we're shifting to something a little bit different, a little bit more spiritual. Something could happen at any moment, and if you're not absolutely awake, absolutely still, you will miss it. This is the kind of waiting that Jesus talks about. In that state, all of your attention is in the now. There is no attention that's left for daydreaming, thinking, remembering, anticipating. There is no tension in it. There is no fear. There's just this alert presence. You are present with your whole being, with every cell of your body. When you are in that state, the you that has a past and a future, the personality, if you like, so you could call it your personality if you want to, if you have a hard time understanding what we're talking about in this book, it's not there anymore. And yet, you haven't lost anything. You are still yourself. In fact, you are more fully yourself than you ever were before. Or rather, it is only now that you are your true self. So waiting in this sense is stillness. The stillness where you're connected, not to being sucked into the thoughts and the emotions, not being sucked out to the demands of life, the TV, all of the things that go on in our outer world that can take our attention. When he's saying waiting, it means that you are in stillness, not saying that you're ignoring what's going on around you or inside of you when it comes to your thoughts and emotions, but also making sure you have most of your attention in your stillness, which is your true self, and it is also the moment of the now. Be like a servant waiting for the return of the master, says Jesus. The servant does not know at what hour the master is going to come, so he stays awake, alert, poised, still, lest he miss the master's arrival. In another parable, Jesus speaks of the 5 careless or unconscious women who do not have enough oil, consciousness, to keep their lamps burning, staying present, so to miss the bridegroom, the now. And don't get to the wedding feast, the enlightenment. These 5 stand in contrast to the 5 women who have enough oil to stay conscious. I'm not familiar with this parable, but this is what I like about the Bible. A lot of people will take these stories and make them out to be literal, when in fact we all know that when you can take a lesson and put it into a story that we can relate to, it is easier not only for us to understand, but also to translate in a time where there may not be like paper, pen, what have you. So again, Jesus is telling us that we need to stay conscious, we need to stay woke, we need to stay present in our life. And when we don't, we miss these opportunities or things that will come up that could be important to us, even though they are subtle. Because remember, a lot of the things that come to us are energetic. So we're going to be able to feel them much more quickly than they actually start to unfold within our lives, through our senses, our touch, taste, smell, hearing, with all of them, you know what they are. All right. So even the men who wrote the Gospels did not understand the meaning of the parables. So again, people are taking some of these things literal and then losing the translation of what it is that Jesus was trying to say when it came to living your life woke, so that you can gain true enlightenment versus being sucked into all that's going on inside of you and around you. Even the men who wrote the Gospels did not understand the meaning of these parables, so the first misinterpretations and distortions crept in as they are written down. With subsequent erroneous interpretations, the real meaning of what Jesus was trying to teach was completely lost. These parables are not about the end of the world. They're about the end of the psychological time. Remember, we talked about this. They're about you choosing to not live your life in the past by bringing the past into this moment now. These stories, these parables that Jesus was telling is about you not having the worry and the anxiety of living in the future, not taint the moment now. And it's telling you, Jesus is teaching you that you, as a powerful being, when you do that first activity we talked about at the beginning of this discussion, and you can tap into the power of who you truly are, you can feel that. And that is how you should feel most of the time in your life, that stillness. And at the same time, also learning to live in the present, which is the only moment that is real. So we will stop right there. If you are watching the replay, or if you didn't do the activity, because it is kind of weird to do it while we're trying to do a book study, make sure you go back and do the activity at the beginning of this discussion, because it's very powerful. This one, and I think the one that we did on the first day when we started to study this book, are going to be two very powerful things that are going to unlock a feeling that you can tap into if you don't understand. Maybe for some of you, like, why isn't my life getting better? Why am I not manifesting the things that I want? Why is it that I'm trying to make changes and they're not happening? Why is it that I feel confused and I feel a lack of clarity? Blah, 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 blah. All of those things are because you haven't mastered the skill of dropping down into that space that I'm talking to you about. And when you do these two activities, the more that you do them, first out of practice, right? So you can just understand what they feel like. But then the more that you start to do them in your daily life, and actually when you're doing them, pay attention fully to what is going on in your life, feeling what is going on in your life, experiencing what is going on in your life fully from that space, you're going to find that what you need, answers you need, solutions you need, the creativity you need, the opportunities that maybe you didn't see before, all of this stuff will start to unfold and help you to move forward in your daily life. So again, for those of you that don't know, at 7:30 tonight, this is August 26th, at 7:30 Central Standard Time, we're going to be doing a totally free class to teach you how to protect your energy from negativity. I have some information to teach you all about energy. I will be teaching you about how to protect your energy from negative people, negative circumstances. I will be teaching you why this happens to you, so maybe you can have a little bit more awareness about that, and teach you why you can stop it, and help you with all that. That's a totally free class right after this. So in about 10 minutes, I'll be jumping over there. If you want to go to this free class, initially I had it registration, but I just feel like some of you are struggling with this and you want help. Check the description box of wherever you're watching this video now. I put the information to join us in that Zoom class. So I will see you in about 10 minutes if you want to join over there. There is no replay for this class, so make sure you bring something to drink, bring a pen, bring some paper, because I'm about to give you all of the details on how you can learn to protect your energy from negativity, and give you some tangible tips on how you can set up boundaries so that you can keep your energy and protect your energy. So again, Zoom details in the description box of this video. I will see you in 10 minutes in that Zoom class. I will talk to you on Monday, because remember, we only do this Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. All right, see you in a few minutes, hopefully. Bye.